On September 3rd, Beijing will hold a commemorative event for the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and World Anti-Fascist War. This military parade carries historical weight strategic significance, rumored to be attended by Putin, Trump planning to visit China. Against this backdrop, reports suggest China is considering inviting Li Zaiming to visit. How has South Korea responded? And if Li Zaiming comes, what signal would that send?
Hello everyone, I'm Quan. Welcome to Global Overview.
Though Trump's China visit isn't officially confirmed, rumors suggest he aims to reshape China-US relations. If it materializes, it would be a symbolic contact, highlighting his focus on the Chinese market and signaling a U.S. attempt to ease trade and strategic tensions. However, strong anti-China voices in the U.S. mean Trump's move may face complex domestic political backlash, increasing uncertainty for his stance and himself. The Russian side has taken a decisive stance. Putin's attendance at the September 3rd military parade is confirmed, showing Russia's intent to deepen strategic cooperation with China and sending a strong geopolitical signal. Amidst the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Putin's choice of Beijing for major global political events responds to the Western narrative. His arrival will elevate the parade's international significance. It reinforces the shared position of China and Russia within a multipolar order, China's growing role as the center of power. As for South Korea's president, Li Zaiming, the Chinese side has inquired whether Li Zaiming can attend. The South Korean government's response was, taking the bigger picture into account and considering multiple factors. This isn't just polite talk, it's a clear statement made after weighing interests. Because attending this event is far from a diplomatic courtesy, it's a decision that could impact the China-US-South Korea trilateral dynamic. If the U.S. president is absent but Li Zaiming attends, the outside world will interpret it as South Korea showing goodwill toward China. On the other hand, if both the U.S. and Russian leaders are present but Li Zaiming stays away, it could be seen as a missed strategic opportunity. There is controversy about this within South Korea. In 2015, President Park Geun-hye attended China's 70th anniversary celebration of the victory in the War of Resistance, when most Western leaders were absent. Interpreted by the outside world as a symbol of friendly relations between China and South Korea, that honeymoon period quickly ended due to the sad controversy. Now, less than a month after taking office, Li Zaiming faces a similar decision. The political pressure he faces is even greater than Park Geun-hye experienced. But because of this military parade has become an opportunity for him to adjust South Korea's diplomatic course. During his campaign, Li advocated balancing China and the U.S., refusing to take sides, and emphasized that national interest is the only standard. His first order after taking office was to establish an emergency economic response team, and his expectations for diplomacy serve domestic affairs. Revitalizing the economy is the priority, and China happens to be South Korea's largest trading partner, accounting for nearly a quarter of its exports. If South Korea can stabilize its relationship with China, it would undoubtedly be significant in helping the country overcome economic downturns. Judging from recent moves, Li Zaiming seems intent on moving away from the pro-American, hardline approach of the Yoon Suk-yeol era. Not only did he skip the NATO summit to avoid getting too closely tied to the US and Japan, but he has also begun to restore high-level exchanges with China, sending a parliamentary delegation to China to explore cooperation projects such as AI. Li Zaiming has also explicitly rejected the Pentagon's request for South Korea to raise its defense spending to 5% of its GDP. These actions show that, while not pro-China, he has started to take a more pragmatic approach, no longer blindly siding with the United States. If Li Zaiming visits China for the ceremony, it's a strategic shift, symbolizing warming China-South Korea relations. This isn't just bilateral, it signals South Korea's desire for independent diplomacy, not to be a geopolitical vassal. Risks exist, U.S. political pressure against China remains. If Li Zaiming is attacked by conservatives for compromising with China, it could constrain his new administration. If Trump comes to China in September for the event, South Korea will miss the opportunity to keep pace. Li Zaiming needs to consider not whether to attend, but how to attend, and in what manner. What's at stake isn't a decision by the president, but a strategic balancing act for South Korean diplomacy. Beijing on September 3rd isn't hosting a military parade, it's setting up a table for big players. Putin is coming to tell the world Russia cannot be isolated. Trump is preparing to bring American businesses to Beijing for talks shows decoupling between China and the US is not possible. If Li Zaiming attends, it means South Korea wants to use this event in China to rebalance its diplomacy instead of just following the US around. But if Li Zaiming ultimately decides not to come, it's basically giving up a chance to show an independent path. For a country that relies on exports and is caught between China and the US, there really isn't a middle option anymore when it comes to coming or not coming. Right now is exactly the time to test Li Zaiming's decision-making.